Today I'm going to take a look at the Dualsense Edge controller. I've been using this for over 3 months now, and I'm going to be honest, I love it. From the fast switching of triggers, setting up multiple profiles, to the rear buttons which completely change the way in which you play the game. Whether that's drop-shotting an enemy in Warzone or swinging your lightsaber in Jedi Survivor, and doing this without even removing your fingers from the thumbsticks. It makes you feel like you're a step ahead of your opponent. However, there are 10 things I hate, and I'm going to talk you through them today. Firstly, the white aesthetics. I know it looks cool against a white PlayStation, and it matches the other accessories, but I've been playing with this controller for over 3 months, averaging 6 to 8 hours a week, and I consider myself a clean guy, but the build-up of dirt on the arms of the controller is noticeable. This is down to the rubberized grip that's on the internal part of the arms. I've been able to remove the majority with some cleaning agent, but this is something I'm going to need to do on a frequent basis. I would like the option of a black Dualsense Edge, so this doesn't become as noticeable. Let's get this one out nice and early. Everyone has been talking about it since the controller's launch. The battery life. I barely get 6 hours of gameplay out of this controller before I feel like I need to charge it again. What makes it worse is the PlayStation UI. It only gives you a 3-bar indicator for your battery, so once it gets down to 1 bar, which is all too frequent on the Edge, I feel like I need to charge it again. Luckily, the Dualsense Edge will fit snug on the official charging station, but I would rather PlayStation provided an improved battery to cope with the additional features, which obviously create a heavy demand on the controller. I hate buying something that comes with multiple accessories, and they just sit there collecting dust. In the Dualsense Edge's case, it comes in the form of this USB cable lock. I've not used this once. When I'm using a cable, I'm not ever thinking I wish this was locked in. It may relate to the bad battery performance of the controller, and as Sony couldn't surgically attach the charging cable, maybe this was the next best thing. I'd be interested to know your thoughts, and if you've ever used the USB cable lock. The triggers are one of my favourite features on the controller. Having the benefit of both the short travel distance for quick reaction games, such as first-person shooters, or having the long travel distance for making the most of the adaptive feedback. However, I've never used the middle trigger stop. I don't know who would use this, and I don't know for what purpose. To me, you're only going to be using the short triggers or the long triggers. It would be good to see Sony remove this middle trigger and optimise the short travel distance to almost digital triggers to make it compete with the very best pro controllers, such as the Scuff Reflex FPS. Onto the case. Although very useful for holding all the accessories, and if you are travelling with it, you can rest easy knowing that the controller is not going to get damaged with its hard outer shell. However, I never take this controller out of the house. It's big and bulky and takes up valuable desk space, and with its white design, it's a bit of an eyesore. I would leave the controller in the case when I'm not playing, and zipping and unzipping every time I wanted to play became annoying, so I ended up just leaving the case in the drawer, but that meant the accessories were out of reach. So I did invest in this Edge controller stand, which shows off the controller and makes the accessories easily accessible. Could this be something Sony looks at as an accessory in the future? If you are travelling with your Edge controller and opt to use the PlayStation Remote Play app, pairing it with the Dualsense Edge can be challenging. PlayStation have recently updated the controller, so it can be connected via Bluetooth to mobile devices. However, you do not get the full features of the controller. You can't customize the button layout, and while the back buttons work, you cannot change or amend the profiles via the app. So you need to ensure you have the correct profile assigned via the PlayStation 5 before you start using Remote Play. Hopefully this is something PlayStation will add in the future update. Attaching the joysticks can be fiddly. Due to their design, you need to line them up perfectly in order to get them to click in. And in some instances, I feel like I've snapped something because I haven't lined them up. If you're frequently changing the thumbsticks, like I am, you'll definitely need to plan ahead and get them ready before you start playing. No changing them mid-game. It would be nice to see PlayStation revisit this design, maybe using magnets, similar to the back buttons, to snap the thumbsticks into place. One thing I was really looking forward to with this controller, and was really disappointed with, was the function buttons. While great for switching profiles mid-game, but the feature I was really looking forward to was the adjusting of game volume and chat mix. However, if you own a first-party headset like the Pulse 3D or the Sony H7 or H9, this doesn't work. You have to have a wired connection, which makes the feature redundant for most headsets. What's worse is that this function works wirelessly for third-party headsets, such as Astro or SteelSeries. It makes no sense to me that Sony would do this. Again, it's something that needs to get updated for first-party headset users. There is a hack for H7 and H9 headset users. I'll highlight a video link on the screen here. Another thing that frustrates me is the software. Although a fantastic feature, I've barely touched it other than to change my button layout. I think PlayStation could do a better job of explaining what all the features mean, and maybe implement a practice zone so you're able to feel the difference, especially when it comes to the curvature of the joysticks and dead zones, so players can really feel the difference before applying them to your profile. Lastly, the price. This is still a $210 or $200 controller. It's almost half the price of a PlayStation. As much as I think it's worth it, I think for many gamers it'll be a price that is just out of reach. Many of the first-party Xbox Pro controllers are around £150. I think this is where the controller needs to be. What is good to see is that in the last month we have started to see a bit of a price reduction in some retailers at around the £190 mark. Hopefully this continues to come down to make such a great controller more accessible. So that's it. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.